Introduction. Agriculture is our sole source of food. This technology is so old and so embedded in our culture that it becomes invisible to the point we don't even perceive it as a technology anymore. At the same time, our food chains based on industrialized agriculture are one of the main driving forces behind climate crisis. New technologies could revolutionize our food chains, breaking our dependency on the logistic of agriculture. For the first time in 12,000 years old history of civilization, we are able to think an alternative future in which we don't rely on soil cultivation, feedstock breeding, and annual rhythm of crops growing and harvest. This could turn out to be life-saving in times of climate crisis when crops that whole population depends on are being challenged by droughts and extreme weather. The revolution in biotechnology allows us to base our food chains locally, first in batches of cultured meat, bacterial protein, and in a longer perspective to become bioreactors ourselves, liberating us from the need to consume in order to thrive. It will shift our diet from consuming the other into consuming with the other. We have never been individuals. If, as biologist Scott Gilbert tells us, there is more microbial cells in our bodies than human ones, then which individual are we? The main challenge of this transition is noticing the complex web of codependent microbial connection, and once means of sustenance are abundant, find a meaningful way of spending our free time. What would you do if the basic income you need would be provided internally by your own holobiotic community? Currently, human is the most exploited animal, and it's the only animal that exploits itself in order to compete with other individuals in meritocratic rat race.
My name is Marek, and I'm a designer and researcher. And my current practice is centered around storytelling, because I think the stories we tell each other is a very powerful way to influence our behavior and the way we see our place in the world. And my project has has started with a research on singularity and transhumanism, and how do we imagine the immense future we have upon us as merging together with technology and with becoming this cyborg, becoming this robots. And I decided to stand against it because I think bacteria and biological cells are very powerful way to reconnect with the non-human others. And really my project called Plurality Now is about appreciating the current plurality that we have right now, and it's struggle to keep this ecological diversity. And I hope that by making people realize that they are an environment within themselves, they're gonna start to think about environment as something that is not distance from them, but it's very close, that they are part of the environment and part of the nature. And the way how we could achieve that is, I think, by food, because it's such a strong sensual way to achieve this, as well as way easier to talk through these senses and through this microbial fermented foods to get this understanding of yourself as a microbial being. So without talking about numbers, so I was really hoping to have this intuitive understanding for people that I can share.
Bacteriocene. We are now living in a new geological epoch called Anthropocene. It marks the moment in which humankind becomes a planetary force shaping the Earth's crust. It connects two notions, which we usually think are distinct: geology and humanity. However, we will argue that the epoch contains inside a mega-epoch that includes them all, the Bacteriocene. Since the beginning of life on Earth, bacteria became omnipresent, penetrating each habitat. They were the first to shape the Earth's geological structure and enable the more complicated life forms that came later. Let's recall the first major climate catastrophe, the release of oxygen by cyanobacteria. These microscopic organisms living in the ocean were the first ones to consume the carbon from the carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere and release oxygen back. This must have been experienced as a catastrophe for current anaerobic organisms. Yet, this event allowed the development of all further eukaryotic life. We evolved because of past climate change. Furthermore, we know that multicellular life was formed by multiple bacteria in a process called endosymbiosis, described by pioneering work by Lynn Margulis in 1966. The core of endosymbiosis theory is that new kinds of cells, organs, and species come to life by long-lasting intimacy of the strangers. The modern complicated cell was formed by encapsulating symbiotic bacteria together. This assemblage evolved together, withstanding environmental pressure, to form the biodiversity we know. The dense bacterial network enables complex life forms and enhances their evolution. This is why we will insist on noticing the Bacteriocene as the primary geological epoch and understanding the importance of protozoa in our daily life. Bacteria infiltrate the totality of life on Earth. It should not be a surprise then that humans were found to be holobionts themselves, with bacterial cells outnumbering the human ones inside our bodies. Symbiosis is a term for symbiotic creating together. It shows that there is no such thing as a self-made man, as the myth of meritocracy would like us to believe. It challenges any notion of self-made and self-emerging. This is only codependence, co-emergence, and coexistence. This is why we update our understanding of social structure with current biological knowledge. If we look at the current neoliberal system through this lens, we can see that it is indeed putting humans into symbiotic interdependence already. Humans are appearing as cells building the neoliberal superorganism. However, this system is wrong because it operates at the cost of nature, ruining its own sustenance. It operates by the rules of the algorithm of agriculture. There is no coffee on a dead planet is one of the mottos of Extinction Rebellion, a global movement for environmental justice. This means that in case of ecosystem collapse, even money won't be able to buy goods that are just not able to be produced anymore.
My name is Marek, and I'm the author behind Plurality Now. I would like to get to know you, so please have a look at the project and leave me some comments or contact me through the series of live chats, live streams, or find me at Plurality Now Instagram or Facebook. Let's meet each other. Hope to hear from you soon.